Hey everyone, and welcome to another deep dive with us. This time we're going to Nepal. But we're not talking about mountains. We're
Mhm.
tackling the education system there.
And we've got some, well, unconventional sources
Definitely not your typical policy reports. We've got this really passionate blog post.
by Andy Lama.
Right, Andy
Yeah.
Lama. And they didn't stop there. They actually outlined this whole drama concept called dark cave to get their point across.
Which I think is fascinating. It's like, we're not just going to hit you with statistics. We're going to get into the emotional core of what's going wrong.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, the blog straight up says, Nepal's educational leadership is stuck in this dark cave, metaphorically speaking, of course.
Clinging to the old ways, resistant to change.
Almost like they're sabotaging progress.
It's a powerful image.
It is, and it gets even more intense with the burning house metaphor,
Oh, right, right. The blog uses that to represent, like, who's trying to reform the system.
especially private schools, right? They're trying to build something new and bright outside the cave. But the author claims the cave dwellers might actually be trying to set that house on fire, so to speak, with their rigid policies, their resistance.
So the dark cave drama, it actually brings these metaphors to life. Imagine this. You've got the cave elder clinging to tradition. Then you have the innovator, desperate for change.
Classic conflict.
And then there's a third character, the bridge builder, trying to, well, bridge that gap. I think the struggle, it's not just Nepal. This plays out everywhere.
So you're saying it's like a metaphor for, like, the global education crisis we're in.
Precisely. Think about it. How many times have you sat there in a classroom or whatever and you're like, these methods are so outdated?
Or the tests, they don't even reflect real-world skills.
Exactly. And this blog author, Andy Lama, they felt this so strongly that they pulled their own kids out of Nepal's system, which is a huge step. More and more parents are making that choice.
Wow. Okay, so back to the blog's main critique, though. What's the core argument?
So they're saying that the whole system in Nepal is way too reliant on rote memorization.
The old drill it into your head approach?
Yeah, and on these standardized tests like the C, which is...
That's their big exam, right?
Yeah.
Secondary education examination.
Yes, and their point is that this isn't equipping students for the future. The world's changing so fast. Skills you learn today might be obsolete in like 2 years.
That's kind of terrifying when you think about it.
Absolutely. And the blog author really zeroes in on private schools. They're trying to innovate, but they're seen as the enemy, not collaborators.
So this us versus them mentality is a big problem.
Huge. And I think that's where this dark cave drama really comes in. It captures that tension between clinging to the past and needing to change.
It sounds like the play itself is a call to action.
So let's picture a scene from this dark cave drama. We're inside the cave, right? Dim lighting, shadows on the walls, and there's the cave elder.
Surrounded by their followers.
Exactly. And they're warning about all the dangers outside. The world's a scary place. Stay in the cave where it's safe. Our traditions have protected us. Don't listen to those who promise you something better.
So they're using fear to keep control.
Exactly. But then the innovator comes in, all full of energy and new ideas. They're talking about all the possibilities outside, saying, hey, the world is changing. We need to adapt.
But the cave elder's not listening.
Nope. Deaf ears. It's that classic clash, right? Tradition versus progress. Security versus taking a risk. And the audience is left wondering who's right.
Right. Like, is it better to stay comfortable in the cave or face the dangers outside for a chance of something better?
Exactly. And then you have the bridge builder. They try to mediate. They get where the cave elder's coming from. But they also point out that we can't just stay stuck in the past. We can honor our traditions while also embracing new ideas. We can build a bridge between them.
I like that. The bridge builder isn't totally dismissing the cave elder.
Right. And that's what makes them effective. They understand that change is scary, but progress is necessary. So how do we move forward in a way that respects both the old and the new?
So it's about bridging that gap between the generations, between these different ways of thinking.
Yes. And I think that's a key takeaway. We shouldn't demonize people who resist change. We should try to understand them and bring them along.
Now, what about the burning house? How does that metaphor show up in the drama?
Okay, so imagine this. The innovator and some volunteers are outside building this amazing, bright house.
It's the school of the future.
Exactly. New materials, innovative designs. But then, boom, someone sets it on fire.
Whoa, hold on. Who's doing the burning? Is it the cave elder directly?
That's a thing. It's left ambiguous. Could be the cave elder trying to protect their power, or someone who's been swayed by their fear-mongering. But the point is, change has enemies. Sometimes they're hidden.
So it's not always about one bad guy. It's about the system itself pushing back.
Exactly, and that's such a powerful message. Because change is never easy. There are always setbacks and challenges.
But the play doesn't end with the house burning, does it?
Of course not. It's a setback, but the innovator doesn't give up. They rebuild, and eventually even some people from the cave start coming out to see what's going on.
So it's like you can't stop progress forever.
Right. Change might be difficult, but it's inevitable. The question is, will we resist and get burned or embrace it and build something better?
So it's not just about education in Nepal. It's about all of us and how we face change.
And I think that's why we're doing this deep dive. It's not just Nepal's problem. We can all learn from this drama and think about the challenges facing education everywhere, even our own.
Now, I'm curious, does this play offer any actual solutions, or is it more about just getting people to think about the problem?
Well, it doesn't lay out a step-by-step plan, but it does highlight some really important points, like how crucial communication and empathy are. Look at the bridge builder. They listen to both sides, try to understand where everyone's coming from, and find that common ground.
As you're saying, change has to come from a place of understanding, not just forcing new ideas on people.
Right. And that's important for any kind of social change, not just education.
Okay, so bringing it back to Nepal, the author specifically talks about decentralizing education, empowering teachers, and working with private schools. Do these ideas connect to the themes of The Dark Cave?
Definitely. Look at decentralization. It means giving more power to individual schools and communities, right?
Mhm.
Which is similar to the bridge builder, empowering those closest to the students.
So instead of everything being decided in this cave high above,
Yeah.
we bring the decision-making down to where the real action is happening.
Exactly. And empowering teachers is huge, too. Because the innovator, right, they're often portrayed as this passionate teacher who's stifled by the system.
So giving teachers more freedom is like letting the innovator build that amazing house without the cave elder always interfering.
Right. And then collaborating with private schools, that's about breaking down that us versus them mentality that holds everything back.
It's like saying, we might have different ways of doing things, but we all want the same thing. A good education for all kids.
And that's where the bridge builder shines, bringing everyone together, building those connections so the whole system can work better.
I'm really starting to see how powerful this dark cave idea is. It's not just a critique, it's a call to action. It gets us thinking about how to change things. But okay, let's get practical. How realistic are these ideas for Nepal, really? What are the challenges here?
Yeah, I mean, these are some pretty big ideas. Decentralization, empowering teachers, getting private schools involved. Is this stuff actually doable in Nepal?
Well, it's not like it's never been done. Look at Finland, for example.
Finland's education system is like the gold standard,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, they always score super high in those PISA rankings. And they've gone all in on decentralization. Schools have a lot of autonomy.
So it can work. But Finland's, well, Finland.
Right. Very different context. They've got this deep trust in their teachers. And the way they fund schools, it's much more equal across the board.
So you can't just copy and paste a system. It has to fit the place.
Exactly. Now, the author also talks a lot about these exams, like the C and the grade 12 boards. They basically say they kill creativity and don't prepare kids for the real world.
Yeah, and they mention Singapore as a place that's doing things differently.
Right. Singapore's trying to move away from just rote memorization testing. They're looking at more holistic assessments like, can you solve problems? Think critically, work with others.
So less about just spitting back facts and more about actually using what you know.
Exactly. Which, if you think about it, fits with that whole dark cave metaphor. It's about breaking free from those old systems.
Okay, but let's be real for a second. Nepal's not exactly swimming in money. Can they afford all this?
That's where this idea of collaborating with private schools comes in. The author says, hey, stop seeing them as the enemy. They actually have resources that could help.
But wouldn't that just make things even more unequal? Help the kids who are already privileged.
It's a valid point, but it's not about giving private schools a free pass. It's about finding smart ways to leverage what they have so it benefits everyone.
So again, that bridge building idea,
Yeah.
connecting different parts of the system.
Exactly. Maybe you have public-private partnerships where, okay, the government helps fund a private school, but in exchange, they have to take in kids from poorer areas, or maybe they share their teacher training programs.
So there are ways to make it work.
Right. It's going to be tough, no doubt. But if Nepal can let go of that dark cave mentality, maybe there's a chance to build something really great for their students.
I like that. So it's not hopeless.
Not at all. And that's what I love about this dark cave drama. It's a wake-up call. It's not just saying what's wrong, it's getting us to think about how we can all be part of the solution, whether it's in Nepal or right here at home.
And I think that's a great place to wrap things up for this deep dive. Big thanks to ND Lama for, well, thinking outside the box with that blog post and drama concept. We'll put links to both in the show notes so you can check them out.
Please do. And let us know what you think. What would you do if you were the bridge builder in this situation?
Great question. Lots to ponder there. And as always, folks, keep diving deep.